Hey guys, Professor Ramy here again, and I'm back in the toy room to bring you another video. This one is going to be a generic video covering the argumentative essay, and I'm not going to be too specific in this video. Use the instructions for specifics. The reason being, so I'm going to use this video in coming semesters as well without having to make a new one every single time on that, which roughly covers the same material. But I just want to go over the basics and give you a rough idea, because I've been getting a few emails and a couple of text messages saying that there's, asking for clarification and things, and maybe that the instructions aren't covering well enough on that. However, the instructions are the best place to get the pertinent information. I mean, basically all the argumentative essay is answering those 6 questions I have listed. But how do you answer them? Well, you use those sources that I provided. Now, the goal of the argumentative essay, the main goal, is to take those primary sources and use them to argue your opinion, your point of view, your perspective on the topic, right? And for the most part, that topic is going to have something to do with immigration and what it means to be an American, right? For both 1301 and 1302, that is the general question, but you're looking at different sources and you're coming at it from different time periods, right? For 1301, largely you're talking about westward expansion, the migration of people west, right? Starting with the original colonies east of the Appalachian Mountains on the Atlantic coast, and then the original borders of the United States over to the Mississippi River. But then what happened there? In 1803, we purchased the Louisiana territories, right? Doubling the size of the United States. And people start moving west. Texas, right? People immigrate into the lands of Mexico, present-day Texas, right? And the disputes with the Mexican government eventually leads to an independence movement, right? And then you have people moving into Texas. Once Texas finally joins the United States in 1845, you have more people migrating in, right? And this leads into trouble with Mexico and leads to the Mexican War, right? And after the Mexican War in 1848, all the lands of the Mexican cession after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, right? People start moving west. In the same year that that treaty is being ratified, you have the gold rush out in California as people start moving over in 1848 and especially in 1849 to search for gold in California. Oregon and Washington are later added by a treaty to with England, et cetera, right? People moving, this concept of manifest destiny, et cetera, that the textbook covers, right? For 1302, we're looking at the early 20th century, roughly from 1900 to 1930, and we see a huge increase in immigration in the early 20th century, but around World War I, the United States government starts to back off, especially with the Immigration Act of 1917, right? As we approach a much more nativist idea in the United States, as most Americans, wanted to stop foreign influence, wanted to stop immigration, right? And your job in that essay is to take United States policy during World War I, use those primary sources, right, to come up with an argument, and then examine, do we have similarities today? Maybe not. There's maybe some case we do, some case we don't. Anyways, regardless which class you're in, that's the general crux. You go to the textbook, right, and you can use the message board for this as well and pass off ideas, but I try to label pertinent sections and chapters in the textbook to read through just to get a general idea of westward expansion or immigration policy. And then you look at those primary sources, right? And you examine them and you look for things to put your point of view into those 6 questions, particularly question 5 and 6. Well, questions 1 through 4 in general are just warm-up questions to get to the major topics and the major ideas. You still need to use the sources, particularly on how immigrants are portrayed or how civilizations that already lived out west, how they were portrayed in the sources, right, et cetera, et cetera. But then question 5 and 6, that's where you take what you saw in the sources and you apply it to your perspective. And question 6 is the same for both 1301 and 1302, and it's the question that I really want you to consider. What does it mean to be American? Now, that answer might seem obvious at first, to live inside the United States, and yet I would challenge you to think about something. Is there not a value judgment associated somehow, some way? I'm not saying good, bad, or anything. I'm just saying when you say American, is there something besides just the idea that you live inside the borders of the United States? And I would argue that there most certainly is, right? But what does that mean? Because there's one thing, if you actually think about, I won't say America is unique at, but it's certainly much different than other nations in the world. There's one thing you cannot base American identity on, today in 2018 anyways, and that's on terms of race or ethnicity. We are the melting pot. We are, unless you are full-blooded Native American, either you, yourself, maybe your parents, your grandparents, or somewhere back in the day, your ancestors immigrated to the United States. We are a nation of mutts, of immigrants, right? That's who we are. Other nations can often base their identity off some kind of ethnicity or race. But it's not so in the United States. So what then does it mean to be American, right? And here's where you can argue your opinion no matter what you think. And I try to put some things in bold on that instruction that I want to make sure is 100%. I'm not trying to lead you to a particular point of view or a thought. College is about open thought and open expression. Don't try to write this thinking what I think you should write, because first off, we don't see each other. We don't interact that much. It's not a face-to-face class. You don't know what I think, right? And even if we were in a face-to-face class, I still wouldn't tell you what I think. I want what you think. So look at those sources, and as you start to question these ideas, because that's really what you're being graded off. You're being graded off how well you use the sources and how well I believe you thought about the actual questions to make your argument. And you put it together into an essay, and you turn it in, you do great, and you go, this is an easy class, I'm going to make an A. That's what you should do on that. It's pretty straightforward, really. Once again, as long as you're answering those 6 questions, I'm satisfied, but try to put some thought and make sure you reference back to those primary sources. And I have little instructions on how to cite in there. It's real simple. Just basically, if you use a primary source, parentheses, write the title of the source, close parentheses, boom, you have cited it. Then I look at it and go, okay, right, you got that from this hyphenated American ones, or you got this from the Gold Rush flyer. And I was like, cool, yeah, that looks great. And there. I've been doing this now for a couple semesters. I've had great results on that. You kind of get out what you put into it, right, in there, but you still have plenty of time and to do it. Actually, I probably shouldn't say that because, once again, I'm just thinking about the current semester. But other than that, the only other question I seem to be getting, and is a good question, is how long does it need to be? You're not going to like my answer. It is as long as you think it needs to be. What do I mean? I don't want you to write the essay thinking I have to get to 5 pages. You might remember the research paper we had. If you're in my 16-week classes, yeah, there was a 5-page minimum. Now, I had some great ones on that, but and I had some great ones that were just at 5 pages, but there's, just go figure. When I assign a page minimum, papers seem to magically get to that page minimum and say, fuck it, I'm done. There you go. And that's okay. That is fine. That's a minimum. You admit it, and you're good to go, right? But that's not what I want you to do about it. On this, I don't want you to go, okay, I got to this, now I'm going to move on to other stuff. I actually just want you to answer the questions. Now, how long does that need to be? Well, that's kind of up to you. These are big questions, right? I don't think a page or two is going to cut it. Put some effort into it, put some work into it, right? At that, remember, it is roughly a 1/6 of your final grade if you look at it that way. On that, so I mean, it is a major assignment. It's the same total as all your reading quizzes throughout the semester. So it's obviously, I think it's important there. Okay, so that's the length. Use your best judgment. If you felt you fully answered the question, you're proud of what you wrote, turn it in. You're going to be happy, right? On that, and I truly believe that in every assignment, students know how well they did on the assignment before they actually submit it there. Okay, now. That's pretty much all you need to know. You just get the general overview, you look at those primary sources, and you answer those 6 questions in an essay, you turn it in, right? And that, make sure you read all my bold. Don't go, guys, just don't Google, what does it mean to be an American? I don't care who's about somebody else's opinion. I care about your opinion, right? I want your argument, your perspective. I don't want somebody else's. So don't do that, right? And that's a surefire way to fail the assignment if I feel you did that, right? On there. You know, I can't think of anything else to say because I'm not trying to make you write it a certain way. You write it how you want to write it. I think it's the simplest way to write it is start with an intro, just introduce the topic, and then the body can be questions like 1 through 5, right? Just, paragraph or two on each of those. And then, question 6 for both 1301, 1302, same question. Sounds like a pretty good conclusion right there. Now, you don't have to write that way. That's just, I think it kind of naturally writes itself there. But there you go. Hopefully that clarified some things and helped about. Now, for every semester past spring 2018, you don't have to worry about what I'm about to say, but I figure I'd throw it in here instead of making another a video just for this. And if you held on this long, just hold on a little bit longer if you're my spring 2018 class. I recently made a big mistake in changing my phones over. Now, I've been using an iPhone, and I switched to a Samsung, which, I don't like it nearly as much. My iPhone, that was partially a mistake. Now, no offense to, Apple haters. I just like my iPhone a little bit more. The reason it was problematic is because I turned off service on the iPhone, but sometimes when people are texting me, and it only seems to be text messages on from another iPhone, it seemed to have been going to my old iPhone. Now, I Googled it and I found some solutions like turning iMessage off on both my iPhone and this iPad I'm actually making this video on, and it seems to work somewhat, but yet, and again, I got a text message from a family member from an iPhone 2 days ago that I never responded to because I never got, right? So it might still be an issue. Here's my point. If you are texting me from an iPhone and I'm not responding, it's not because I hate you or I don't think your question's good. It's probably because I'm not getting it. Then you just go to email or call me because the calls do come through on that. Once again, I hope it's fixed. Maybe it's just, that, was one small little thing after I turned iMessage off. But if it is an issue, just let me know, right, on that, because I'd hate for you to have a question and I can't respond to it and I can't get back to you. Okay? All right, guys. Just let me know if you have any questions about the assignment, right? Once again, keep it simple, do good work, put your effort into it. Oh, one last point. I'm going to put a news announcement on there. Don't forget you have to read a book, right? The monograph. I haven't really said much about it except for the first video. It's been on the syllabus and all that because everybody's got busy schedules and all. But, the semester's winding down, right? You have 3 options if you're in 1302. Find which one that you're wanting to read there, and let me and read through it. I'll have another video up about the monograph essay and how to write that, along with the instructions posted very shortly, guys. Hope you're doing great. I hope you're enjoying the cold weather. Once again, I keep on making points that I didn't want to make because I'm going to use this video later, and somebody's going to take my class in the summertime. I'm like, fuck you talking about the cold weather. Right, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.